name is Nathaniel Curtis. I work for Howard Stein Hudson under contract to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, which is represented tonight by our project manager, Mike O'Dowd. This is the presentation regarding the replacement of the North Washington Street Bridge, which is quite close to here. Presentation ticking along down here. We have some questions and answers which were generated by members of your group, which we originally answered back in January just before we were snowed out for the first of, I think, 3 times on this meeting, so I'm glad that you're finally here. Partnership of the City of Boston and Mass DOT. Some of the firms involved in the team are Benesh for engineering and Rosales and Partners for the very attractive architecture of the structure, which you'll be seeing in rendering shortly. You all know the project here very well, I'm sure, but just to give you a sense of our limits of work, that indicates the space that we will be touching. That's indicated by these red brackets. This is over here, just before City Square on the Charlestown side, and this is Keeney Square on the north end / west end side, with the exit of the Charles River into Boston Harbor in the middle. This is the existing bridge. You all know it. It's a thicket of steel, very indicative of its late 19th century origins. This is the view from the water. Again, you can see the stone piers, lots of steel, very heavy, and as the city engineer, R.J. Singh always says, very tired. As you can see, it's had a long career. It's over 100 years old. It used to carry the elevated orange line back in the day. Since 2003, it's had the center truss has been closed to traffic, and there has been ongoing maintenance and repair. One of the things driving the replacement of this structure is the fact that it triggers a very heavy repair burden for the city of Boston, which of course has an impact on everybody from a traffic perspective as well. So the goals are to replace a structurally deficient bridge, which is truly on its last legs, provide a multimodal bridge as a complete street over the water. That means there will be a pass-through for all modes of travel, from walking to buses on the bridge. Improve deficient pedestrian and bicycle accommodations.
And don't forget the bikes.
Improve safety and functionality. Better the navigation channel, make it context sensitive such that it complements the historic pieces around it as well as the Zakin Bridge, and then keep everybody moving as best as possible during construction. I won't read all of these to you, but this very dense chart indicates all the times that we've been before the public, either here or in Charlestown or in the West End in some form or another. And then actually, this brings us through to right now. Oh, there's some of the rainbow ones left. That's good. Those are the ones over there. Wow. So, project schedule. We are here. The 100% design is currently with Mass DOT for review. We anticipate to put this out to bid for contractors to look at and bid on in this summer. A contractor would come on board late summer, early fall. Any activity that there might be some modest activity in 2017, but really the first time you're going to see something that's going to impact you from a getting around the neighborhood perspective would be 2018 in the start of that construction season. Anything the contractor would do in 2017 would be in the nature of shop drawings, securing a field office, etc. So just, bless you.
Thank you.
So just to give you a sense here of the some of the goals of the bridge, you have livable, nice place to walk and sit, walkable, a generous sidewalk, green and sustainable. This bridge will actually have things planted on it, greenery, and then multimodal. So you can see we have vehicles, bicycles, pedestrians, and the bus coming across. So really the goal here is to get a bridge that balances the City of Boston multimodal goals. We've done this by measuring delay for people as opposed to crossing the bridge as opposed to just vehicles, improving bicycle and pedestrian capacity, and getting new bus capacity coming southbound towards Haymarket. We do have some existing limits, particularly at Keeney Square. The buildings come right up against us, so we have to acknowledge that as a constraint on the right-of-way available to us.
Where's Keeney Square? What's the elevation you're talking?
Keeney Square, so this is where the, I'm sorry.
I know that with
Yep.
Converse is.
Yeah, so this is the Converse building, and then Keeney Square is just beyond it where Commercial Street comes in. Now this is just some views of what you're getting, so you can see it's a very different structure, much more open underneath. Has an improved navigation channel in terms of height, less obstructions in the water. Coming in a boat gives you a better view. And then on top you have a much different view as well. You have the architectural element here. You have a generous sidewalk and cycle track. Just a view of how pretty it will be at night. View from the top, so we're taking our helicopter tour. You can see MBTA service using the dedicated bus lane. There's the bus again, obviously not technically an MBTA vehicle there, but a bus. Again, you know, the idea is that this is trying to think about moving people and not just cars. So we're trying to, you know, get people healthy options. If they want to get out of their car, take a bus. And just to give you a sense of how that's been worked on, you know, the buses on the bridge carry an average of 29 people in the space of 2 or 3 cars. So we've really tried to get those buses through there a bit faster. This just shows you the extent of the dedicated bus lane. So this is the City Square side in Charlestown. Basically allows the bus to kind of jump traffic up to a point just before you're starting to come onto the land approach at the Keeney Square end here in the north end, at which point the bus has to kind of merge back into general traffic to get across the intersection and head over to Kmart. So just some thoughts on the bus lane. It does reduce delay, but it does not get rid of all of it because the bus incurs delay upstream and downstream of the bridge. It's a starting point, it's not a network, but the anticipation is that it would be combined with other elements at a later date to other projects. And we, of course, have had to deal with the fact that we are space limited at the Boston side end. So now these are your questions, and these all go back to January. So is there a final design, and where can the renderings be found? Final design is with MassDOT right now, but the renderings that I've showed you tonight, and which are also available on the project website, are accurate to that design in as much as a rendering goes. Yes, to the bus lane inbound towards Haymarket. Construction, again, we expect to have a general contractor on board towards 2017, the end of this year, but you wouldn't see any real impact until next year. And then it's a 3.5 to 4 year construction time frame from 2017 to 21.
What's the project website?
The project website's actually at the end of the presentation, so
Okay.
I'll leave up the Q&A slide. You can just take a picture of it.
Okay.
But if you Google MassDOT North Washington Street Bridge, we're the first thing that comes up.
Okay, thanks.
So just quick discussion of construction period stuff, because I'm sure you'll all be curious. We have ongoing refinement to the traffic management plan. The goal of which I will say is we understand that on any given piece of infrastructure, there is certain traffic which is there by choice, and there is certain traffic which is there by necessity. I'll show these things to you. We are trying to take steps to remove traffic that is here by choice, such that the capacity which will be here during construction will be available to those pieces of traffic, such as yourselves, which are here by absolute necessity. We have ongoing coordination among the project team, the police, the fire department, EMS, and Boston Public Schools, because they move a fair number of their buses over the bridge during the school year. Again, continuing coordination. We met with the emergency services back last year, also the school bus folks. We have ongoing coordination with TD Bank North Garden, or whatever they choose to call themselves these days. We continue to coordinate among projects within MassDOT to make sure that we're not dropping everything on you all at once, even though I'm sure there's enough things that could possibly happen, but we don't want it to happen. And we continue to coordinate with the Boston Public Schools as we go into this. Just to give you a sense of what will happen during construction, to keep you notified, there's a city website for this, there's a Boston or a DOT website for this. They will be refocused to support construction activities. So looks ahead, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, give you a sense of what's upcoming, alert you if there's something that's going to be especially noisy or problematic for the neighborhood, so that people can be prepared. Public information meetings surrounding major construction events and specialized outreach, email, press, website, and social media for, again, construction events to let folks know what's coming. Again, as mentioned, the idea is to capture and divert regional traffic before it's committed to this route. So that's if people are choosing to use this route as part of a longer trip, a regional trip, to say, you could be somewhere else during this time, so that we can dedicate the remaining limited capacity of the bridge to local traffic and emergency needs. This gives you a sense of where we're thinking of placing those changeable message signs, warning people that this is happening. And just to give you a sense of it, this is Route 128, and the furthest out rank of boards are actually on highways outside of 128. So this is the pike coming in. You can see 95 and 24 coming up from the south, Route 3 coming up from the Cape. So that just gives you a sense of how far out we're trying to capture people, and suggest that if you don't have to use that route, we strongly suggest that you leave such capacity that's there for local traffic. And then closer in, there's a whole suite of additional warning signs. That blue dot is the bridge, the oval, and then these are all signs placed closer to it, again, trying to let people know to shift themselves if they possibly can. We do have an alternate route northbound if people want to detour around that using I-93. There's a southbound route, again, using some of the local ramp system to try to get around some of those items. There's hazardous cargo route, which of course, it uses that bridge, so during construction we'd have to send a different route. Now this gets you through the construction sequencing, so I'm going to refer to my notes here a little bit to make sure that it's correct. But these are your existing conditions. You have the closed center barrel, and you have 2 lanes of traffic in either direction, a sidewalk on either side. This is what we call stage 1A. This lasts about 3 months. You have 2 lanes in each direction, an 11-foot sidewalk on the harbor side of the bridge, and there are no bike lanes as yet. 1B, this is a period of some constriction. This lasts about 3 weeks. So this is, you have 2/3 of the navigation span closed. You have 1 lane of traffic in each direction. That, again, it's 3 weeks, but it will be.
What's the bike lane?
Unfortunately, the way that the bridge is configured and the way we have to do things, this is going to be the tight 3 weeks. This is when there's going to be a great deal of outreach, warning folks that this is coming and saying it's going to be 3 weeks, but this is what we have to do. So what happens is we actually remove utilities from the bridge and we relocate them and a sidewalk to a temporary bridge off to the side. So that's what this is right here. So one of the commitments is that we would always have 1 sidewalk open on the bridge at any given time. So if your husband tells you to walk on the sidewalk.
I'll make go walk.
So then you have stage 2, and that's about 15 months. So that gives you the west approach and the navigation span are closed, and you place a temporary bridge at the center of the navigation span. So you have 3 travel lanes and the sidewalk. You have over here, this sidewalk is open and available. This section here is under construction. You get on to stage 3. That's 15 months. The east approach and navigation spans are closed. Your new bridge is in place. Now this is new bridge on the western side. That's the river side. And this temporary bridge that we placed in the last stage gets removed. So you can see we constructed the top half up here, or riverside half. The temporary bridge that we placed earlier comes out of service, and we begin to construct the new half, the second half over there. And that brings you to stage 4A, which is roughly 3 months. And you have the west approach closed down, which means that the west right turn at Keeney Square is also closed during this time. But you have 2 lanes of traffic on the new bridge in each direction. By 4B, you get 2 lanes in each direction. The northbound bicycle lane opens up, and the sidewalks are now open. You can still have the temporary sidewalk on one side, and the permanent sidewalk available on the harbor side.
And what year will that be when it says 4B?
4B is, what do you think, Mike, about 2020? So 2020.
Wow.
And then you bring yourself to the final condition, which includes the inbound bus lane, cycle tracks and sidewalks on both sides, 2 lanes of vehicular traffic in both directions. So a few more of your questions. Will any part of the bridge remain open while construction is taking place? If so, will both vehicles and pedestrians be accommodated? Yes. Generally, there will always be a crossing in both directions, but as you just saw, sometimes the number of lanes is reduced.
So there are no plans to have the bridge completely shut down at any point in time?
I wouldn't say that right now. What I would say is that we might need to leave the door open a little bit for that, for the contractor. So for example, if conditions were to present themselves where the contractor came to us and said, I can greatly cut down the amount of time that a given stage will take by completely shutting the bridge off for a weekend over the summer when volumes drop. That would be something that if it gave a significant enough reduction in time, the city and MassDOT would have a conversation about that to see, if we could carve 2 months out of a stage by shutting down for a weekend, that's a trade that most people would want to make. And so you would then address that by a heavy dose of public involvement, some kind of presentation in the community, certainly regional outreach via media to say, hey, this bridge will be totally shut off on this weekend. Yes, ma'am.
Are there going to be 2 lanes of traffic in each direction when this is done?
When all is said and done, there will be 2 lanes of traffic in each
So
direction.
not 3 like there used to be before the middle part was closed down because it wasn't maintained.
Correct, yeah.
So why aren't we going to have 3 lanes of traffic?
How are we going to take left pedestrians?
Do you have a slide that shows the proposed traffic patterns?
Well, I'm just curious why, if we had 3 lanes before, why are we going to have 3 lanes again?
Well, because we've chosen to add bicycle paths.
Yeah, but people have to live, people have to
But
work.
I mean,
People have
why
to
the
go,
bike
they're
path
going to
still
go
have
bikes,
a sidewalk
shopping.
on
Well,
one side of
so the
path?
problem becomes is that, yes, if you could create a situation where you had,
Maybe the sidewalk's a little narrow.
you have, well, there's not that much space because you have to bring it back together
It's
at
hard
Keeney
to
Square.
tell on the diagram.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But it just seems like we're getting squeezed.
Well, so the idea is not to squeeze and squeeze. The idea is to, the direction that we've received from the city and, is to try to say, okay, we would like to try to not constantly, try to meet all of our demand with vehicle trips.
Well, the trouble I see is like you're heading into the city. Right now, there's like 3 or 4 lanes that merge into 2 to go over the bridge, and it opens up into 3.
Well, so part
So
of,
is it going to just be 2 the whole way?
Correct,
So
yes.
it's gonna-
But how do they take the left on the bridge? We have a separate lane to take the left.
correct, yeah, and
That makes
and
it
you'll
3
still have
lanes.
that.
But there's only going to be 2 lanes, you're going to be tying up traffic.
No, it opens out
the
at the end.
lights. Of the lights.
So see, this is the 2, so here we are, this is the final. And then, I tell you what, let me just finish and then I'll let you.
No, it's just that we're
Pepper
going
me in, Mike.
to get kicked out in about 5 minutes.
Oh, great, okay. I'm very sorry.
20, no, 10
All right,
minutes.
so here are your 2 lanes coming across the bridge, all right? The red stripe is the bus lane. One of the things that's problematic with the bridge today is that you go back and forth. There's a varied cross-section. First it's 3, then it's 2, then it's 3. It's this accordioning back and forth, so you get vehicles jockeying. One of the things that'll happen is people will come across the bridge from Charlestown in 2 lanes. They will carry that 2 lanes across the bridge until such time as they get right around here. And so you can see this branches out to the lady who is interested in the left turn. I'm highlighting your left turn lane with my clicker right here. So let me.
Is the left lane the 3rd lane?
So then it's a third lane.
The bus lane is a third lane,
Oh,
yes.
that's
Yes,
different. And
correct.
the left turn is.
Yes, and the left turn is not impacted by that. I'm just saying that if you were to go back to the days when the old North Washington Street Bridge was completely open, you're gonna have a different configuration than that.
Right, but you still have 3 lanes, if you want to just be a bus lane.
Yes, but vehicles aren't driving in the bus lane.
Right, but still, it's pushing traffic.
Yes, and that's the whole point. The point is that we're trying to create a situation where that transit option gets a little speed boost and it becomes more attractive so that we can try to pull some of these cars off the road rather than constantly trying to chase the number of vehicles that are, okay, well, you put out a lane, vehicles fill it. You put out a lane, vehicles fill it. I'm sure you.
But the bus route doesn't, it doesn't run that many times, so
Yeah,
you're
it
tying up a whole
actually,
lane.
it actually does during peak hours.
Yeah, just during peak hours, but the rest of the time, the bus lane is gonna be useless there.
Well, no, there are other things that could fill the bus lane.
Like what?
Hospital
Can I
shuttles.
go in it?
Hospital shuttles. There's quite a few hospital shuttles that cross over between.
Yes, well, all right, well, you didn't say that, you said bus lane, hospital shuttles,
Yep.
all right. Need a ride. EMT,
Absolutely, yep. If emergency vehicles want to use that lane, they may. So let me just finish up, because I'm going to lose the room in
No,
7
we have
minutes.
time, no, we have time.
Oh, we have time? Okay, all right. So where will excess traffic be channeled? You saw some of our plans to try to remove regional traffic, especially during the construction period. Construction will typically take place during the standard hours, and this is one of the things that I was mentioning earlier about, might there be some sort of trade-off, right? Close the bridge, work 24 hours over a weekend to, really help shorten up a stage.
It would be nice if they went later than 3.
Well, so again, if you live right up against it, there may be some balancing on that. But there are times where
And I do, and I want to talk about that, so we should get to leave some time about the noise and the hours and whatnot. 'Cause I'm at the north end of Princeton, right behind Filippo's, and I really want to know what you're doing about that. 4 years of that's crazy, so the noise and the hours are
But you're a
a big concern
newcomer.
to a lot of people.
Okay, that's fine.
You live in the neighborhood.
So, are there
15
any,
years,
You live in the neighborhood.
are there any plans for noise mitigation? Yes. So, just to give you, and I'm sure, sir, it won't give you as much comfort as you'd like, but every DOT contract has noise standards that the contractor must meet. You have a different standard for daytime hours, evening hours, and nighttime hours. You can guess how the noise goes in relation to those. That's going to be in the contractor, or in the contract. The contractor must develop a noise plan to adhere to those standards. So what would happen is, tonight we would be able to give you a general sense of, so things that contractors do, right? So at night they can choose to, limit operations that generate the most noise to the daylight hours. There are different machines that can be worked with, depending on, what they're doing. So when we demolished the Casey overpass in Forest Hills, one of the nighttime operations that we used to break up the steel girders was shearing, which is effectively just cutting the steel with a great big hydraulic pair of scissors on the end of a excavator. And believe it or not, that was one of the operations that the neighborhood liked best for nighttime because it is very quiet compared to some other choices that you can do for demolition. There is shielding that can be placed around equipment to prevent it from having noise that propagates. So what would happen is, those are some sort of sample tactics. When a contractor is on board, that contractor would have to come before the community again and say, this is the noise spec that DOT has put in, this is the plan by which I will adhere to it. And usually they actually have somebody out there with a noise gun monitoring. So that would be what would happen.
they don't do that now. They're
They
out there
don't-
with jackhammers
they-
at
well-
11 o'clock at night.
Well,
Right
what-
now, I'm just saying what's going on right now, and this is kind of anticipating what's coming.
Well, what you have right now is that I know there's a contract out there right now, which is keeping the bridge alive so that we can get to this.
Well, I understand.
That's an emergency
I
contract.
understand, but I'm just saying what we're living with right now, and this is just the beginning.
So, and I would just note that there is a significant difference between a construction contract, which intends to be with you for a while, and the standards it has to adhere to, versus a keep this thing from closing completely
I
because you have to
understand.
limit
And
it.
then the other piece I want to put on the table is the noise right now from the vehicles and the constant honking, because that interchange is so blocked up, you can't keep your windows open and hear a TV on in your house. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just screaming, but that's the reality, and that's crazy, and I just want to make sure that we're still going to be able to live here. We lived through the big dig, and I want to make sure that we can at least live in our houses and enjoy the space. I'm excited this is happening, so don't get me wrong, it's the interim here that
Yep.
somehow we have to be able to survive, and 4 years is really intimidating.
Understood, it is a complicated project, there are a lot of utilities suspended from the other side of the bridge. I believe there are some limitations that are placed on us with regard to the channel underneath it, and fish things can be, there are certain things that we can't do because of when the fish move through the channel that are endangered species. So this is, this is a pretty accurate statement of what you're gonna see. We will make every effort to make this, run smoothly. I live in Jamaica Plain. I lived through the demolition of the Casey overpass, and I walked down my hill and there it is. So I know exactly how you feel. But the methods that are used are generally effective. While they were demolishing the bridge, I brought my newborn son home from the hospital, and the crying he did at night was based on needing to be fed or changed. It was not based on the project. So, will you love every minute of it? No. Will you be able to live here? Yes. And that's it. So, for those of you who wanted that website, that's it right there. It is a long one, which is why I suggest that you just Google Mass.North Washington Street Bridge.